Many thanks for joining us. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. In our very first story, the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition is questioning why reports of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament are kept from the public. The coalition says the public's inability to access these reports is a hindrance to the fight against corruption. Hannah Odame was at an event in Accra where the coalition launched its annual report.
The Public Accounts Committee every year scrutinizes officers from various assemblies on their use of state and financial resources. They do this in the full glare of the public, but their report is hardly made available. Most of the recurring issues are cash irregularities, non-compliance by officers, lack of political will to sanction culpable officers, and poor record keeping by the MMDAs. According to the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, the reports are not available or accessible. At a launch of the PAC sittings in Accra on Thursday, researcher and consultant for the committee, Dr. Patrick Osei-Kuffour, explained the impact is largely felt by the MMDAs, which do not know where they go wrong to fix it.
This report sought to track the implementation of the Public Accounts Committee recommendations, and we realize that majority of MMDAs, that's metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies, have not implemented the PAC recommendations, and we are of the view that they also don't have the PAC reports. That is a huge gap. So we need the PAC reports, or the reports by the Public Accounts Committee, to enable the MMDAs also through their RX to do a follow-up. So once you don't have the PAC reports, then the MMDAs may not be doing the follow-up. And that is the main finding, and that's the key message we are telling Parliament, to as quickly as possible produce the PAC reports on their sittings.
And this is the 2014 report?
No. We to be sure that they've implemented the PAC reports, we took 2005, 2007, based on the assumption that within that period they will have implemented the PAC reports. And you can see that within 8 years, the assemblies have not followed up on these PAC recommendations, and that's a problem for all of us in terms of public financial management. We need to get Parliament to produce reports out of its sittings to enable all stakeholders to do whatever is expected of them by law.
Chair of the Civil Society Organization Platform on the IMF, Joseph Winful, was of the view if the reports of the sitting are not made public, they may as well stop doing so.
The whole process is not acceptable. Here you are charged with the responsibility of reviewing public funds, and then you come up with a report. You've got to even ensure that the recipient, MMDAs, not only respond to the report, but after getting it, respond to the report within a specified time. And anyone going contrary to that should be punished. It's as simple as that. You just don't play with public funds. You don't do that.
So have you found out why the PAC reports are not being made easily available?
Well, this is the first time I'm hearing about it, and it's shocking because I do not expect responsible officials to be telling me this, because it's not admissible in the private sector. In the private sector, you're dealing with people's funds. In the public sector, you're dealing with citizens' funds. So it's almost the same. So why should one be different from the other? If they are not going to be effective, if they are not going to be meaningful, if they are not going to serve the public interest, then what use is it?
Hannah Odame's report for Joy News.
Meanwhile, speaking on today's big story, a while ago, Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, Kwekwajaman Menu, says he doesn't see any accessibility problem with PAC reports, as they are usually captured in the Hansards and made available on the Parliament of Ghana website for public consumption.
That we don't seem to have a system that will enable the committee or even Parliament to distribute our reports to the public. We don't have any system like that. Parliamentary documents are stated in the Hansard, which is the official publication of proceedings of the House. And that Hansard is a public document. So anybody who is doing a research work, who wants information, who is a bit inquisitive to do certain things, can get in there, into the Hansard, to take things that we have put in there. And this can be accessed on Parliament's website. Again, the last report that we presented, I think that is on tertiary institutions for about 3 years, up to 2012 or so. I can't remember exactly what date it was. I requested in the House that the Speaker should direct the Speaker's office, so the Clerk's office, to actually communicate the recommendations, extracts of them to specific entities, so that they will get communication, even from the reports, so that they will also be able to get something to work on. And this has also been captured even in the hazard. And I said, there is a whole press corps in Parliament. That press corps sits in the gallery, press gallery, to capture, how do I call it, proceedings of the House. So I don't know which public, again, we want that system to actually make sure that civil society organizations and things have access. When you're on the one website, that publishes a document from Parliament. How accessible again, I don't know how we can make it there. But that doesn't become the prerogative of Public Accounts Committee to decide or to actually do something. It belongs from the entire Parliament of Ghana to find a new system to do that. It's adequately publicized or published. And I think people who want access to it can easily have access to our report.
But the executive director of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, Linda Oforikwafu, says the real problem is not reports that are on public websites or Hansards. She says the committee has failed to provide a source by which MMDAs could get these reports and take action on the issues individuals have been indicted for.
We set out to find out what the MMDAs are doing after the park has finished its work. The MMDAs are saying that you give us recommendations, we publicize it on air, everybody is listening to them, but we do not have any source documents. I'm not talking about civil society organization reading about parliamentary proceedings in the Hansard. I'm talking about after you've made these recommendations, have you given the MMDAs copies of what they are supposed to be doing? What is the source document for their work? I think the MMDAs and their RX should start going on websites to print copies of what they're supposed to be doing and come back and report to you again or what. I think they should be given, once you are recommending that, go back and do A, B, C, D, in order to reduce all the financial irregularities, then you should give them a source document to work with. And that's what I'm not talking about we ourselves. Even we, in trying to access the information from Parliament to work, we had up to 2007 and not beyond. And so I don't, maybe the MFDAs are not doing enough to get the parliamentary, to get the source document they need to work with. I will have to find out whose responsibility it is to give the MMDAs the recommendations that you are asking them to go and take remedial actions on. If you don't provide it for them, maybe we have to bring them to Accra to come and collect this information from Parliament.
Let's now do some health, because the Tema General Hospital now has a facility to safely store equipment necessary to contain the Ebola disease. Commissioning the Ebola medical stores, Deputy Minister of Health Victor Bampo indicated Ghana's Ebola preparedness is solid.
The Ebola Treatment Center and stores is located just at the entrance of the Tema General Hospital. When the treatment center was built, it became necessary to have a separate facility to store the protective gears and other equipment necessary for containing the disease in case it enters the country. So with the help of Barry Calibo, a Swiss company, this building right here, which is supposed to be the store, was built, and it has been handed over to the Tema General Hospital. The facility houses 2 medical stores, offices and washrooms. According to the Deputy Health Minister, Victor Bampo, the facility will improve response to any Ebola emergency.
We have different things in different places, and then we have some also that were lost in the fire that we have to replenish. So definitely it will be filled up. But if there were a case here today, definitely we can pull in resources from some of the regions and so on. And when you go through the airport, it's a human institution. You know, people can fail, and we constantly have to up our game. But it doesn't mean that nothing is going on. You know, every single day we have port health personnel who are doing the screening, taking the the reports that people fill and so on.
The head of the Ebola Treatment Center, who also trained the 42 medical officers who went to Liberia and Sierra Leone, is confident about the laid down Ebola containment strategies.
We have a rapid response team staff in Tema now who can at least take care of the first 24 hours when we have any index case now. We have a backup team from the Tema Metro Health Directorate who can augment the first 24 hours, and we have the Greater Accra region, another health staff who can also come in. So for now, we have a lot of staff around who can around at least the first 24 hours in 3 different shifts who are on standby. So once we have any index case or the first case reporting here, the Tema staff, Tema General Hospital staff will be able to cater for the patient for the first 24 hours.
It cost Swiss chocolate company Barry Callebaut 80,000 Ghana cedis to put up the facility. The company, however, does not intend to stop there.
Barry Callebaut has set up a trust fund to support mainly health and education projects in the cocoa growing regions. And today is not our first collaboration with the Tema General Hospital. In 2009, Barry Callebaut was the main contributor to the construction of the Lion's Eye Care Clinic down the road here.
Since the outbreak of Ebola in the West African sub-region, 138 suspected cases have been tested in Ghana, but all have proved negative.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Minister, Dr. Victor Bampo, has assured members of the Ghana Medical Association it will not have any cause to resign en masse, as government will address their concerns in due course. Members of the GMA working in public health facilities want their conditions of service improved as they fight for the establishment of their collective bargaining agreement by the end of June. The doctors met with Employment and Labour Relations Minister Haruna Idrisu on Wednesday, April 8 this year, to reiterate their point, but the Deputy Health Minister says the doctors have no cause to worry.
It's not something I would want to speak about because I was in a meeting yesterday that was called by the Honourable Minister of Employment to deal with those issues. And I think some agreements were reached, and this will be resolved in the shortest possible time. I think both sides have credible positions. It's just meeting each other halfway, and I don't think that it is something that we cannot do. I think that within the shortest possible time it will be sorted out.
So you are assuring us that doctors are not going to resign in their numbers?
Well, I mean, it's for them to say or not to say. What I'm assuring you is that government will do whatever it takes to make sure that the conditions are such that they do not have to resign.
Director of Operations at the Ghana Police Service, COP John Kodalo, has blamed police officers for failing to take mug shots of criminals whenever they are arrested. He described the inability of the police to do this as an irresponsible behavior. Speaking on Joy News AM show, COP Kodalo added that the bylaws of the police service mandates every police officer to take mug shots of criminals for proper identification anytime there is a jailbreak.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that it's largely on the part of the officers, because our rules are very clear. If the person is cold or put himself, as I said, the police institutions all over the world have the same instructions of operations. We perform in the same manner. You have to take picture of the person, his fingerprints, addresses, where he can be traced, and all this. Everything is taken, and then before you place him himself. If there's laxity somewhere, this things happen, but that's not what the rule says here. I was the same as the same police station. I hope you have a clear idea about the number of police posts we have. We've always been buying cameras and sending them around. And if you don't have it, you can take the service of a local photographer to take the shot of the thing. But we are talking about the economics and other things. If we have the capacity, we'll do it.
To a rather sad story, several people sustained injuries when the buses they were traveling on crashed into a broken down truck parked on the shoulders of the Accra-Tema motorway. Joy News Adelaide Arthur chanced upon the accident and has filed this report.
Heavy downpour Thursday afternoon made it difficult for the driver of the Metro Mass Transit bus to see his way clearly. Struggling to clean the windscreen, he crashed into this broken down truck with registration number AW575212, a Toyota minibus with registration number GT581913, which was following closely also crashed into the Metro Mass bus. The Toyota bus driver explained he was traveling from Aflao in the Volta region to Accra. He added he crashed into the Metro Mass bus because it stopped suddenly. It is unclear how many people sustained injuries, but many people were seen bleeding. Witnesses complained the failure of authorities to immediately tow broken down vehicles parked along the motorway is the cause of numerous accidents on the stretch.
Motorists pay tolls daily, but those responsible continuously fail to immediately remove potential dangers along the motorway. We have seen so many deaths this past week, the most recent being yesterday.
Though personnel from the Ghana Red Cross's Emergency Response Unit located along the motorway quickly responded, they were ill-equipped. They lacked basic first aid materials to stop bleeding or relieve pain.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now to the rest of our stories. And Communications Coordinator of the Council for Technical and Vocational Training, COTVET, George Ferguson Lane, has blamed training institutions and industries for the growing unemployed graduates in the country. According to him, the lack of cooperation between industries and training institutions leaves the youth ignorant about opportunities on the job market. He was speaking on the AM show today.
The training institutions are working closely with industry, then what we would have is a situation where they don't just train, but they know what industry needs at every particular time. So they know that there's a gap in the manufacturing sector for this particular set of skills. You align your courses to plug that gap. But as it is today, most institutions are just training.
George Lane also mentioned that the choice of academic programs also plays a key role in graduates' chances of gaining employment.
Lots of young people go into our tertiary institutions and they choose their courses for various reasons. Because an elder colleague is doing marketing, or because their parents want them to do a particular course, or because they have the perception that a particular course is prestigious or lucrative. Those are not the reasons why you choose a program. First of all, you need to think about your own competencies. What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? What do you have a passion for? That is one. Two, we also need to look at the availability of jobs in that area.
You should look at it before you enter.
Yes, you need to. Before you choose a program, you need to look at these things.
Let's do some legal issues because courts across the country have started hearing only remand cases until the end of May. This directive from the Chief Justice Georgina Tudoro Wood is part of the many reforms she has introduced to deal with the remand crisis in Ghana's prisons. Her action follows Joy News documentary Locked and Forgotten, which exposed the inhumane conditions under which remand prisoners are kept. Chairman of the Justice for All program, Justice Clemens Onyanuga, says the Chief Justice is treating the remand crisis as an emergency, for which reason no civil case will be heard until the end of May.
The Chief Justice has directed that from the 7th of this month, April, circuit court judges were going to sit on cases on which the accused persons are on remand. But they will not sit on civil matters have been suspended, and then cases in which accused persons are on bail are also suspended. They are to deal strictly with cases of the remand prisoners, those on remand between this April and then the end of May.
So my lord, for example, if somebody is arrested today on criminal charges, won't the person's case be heard?
Yeah, the Chief Justice has directed that the matter is an emergency. Yes, it will be an exception to the rule. So that case can be heard if it's an emergency. So, yeah.
And where a person must be remanded will there be a court, or, for example, if a person is arrested to police station today and the person is supposed to be put before court, will there be a court to listen to such a case?
Yeah, the very courts would listen. The very courts which have been selected to handle these remand cases would also hear those fresh cases at the same time. It is only that they will not give a definite hearing. The preliminaries, you know, they take the plea, the facts, and so then the matter could be adjourned. Yes, and with the training that is ongoing for the judges, we expect that something better will come out, and then the judges will not be remand happy.
Let's now talk water, this important commodity called water. Its supply to Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology NUST has been restored after authorities there reportedly paid the 6 million Ghana cedis debt it owed the Ghana Water Company Limited Thursday. The GWCL cut supply to the university for many weeks over its refusal to pay the debt despite numerous warnings to do so. Students and lecturers reportedly struggled to go about their regular duties as a result of the acute water shortage on campus. In a related development, residents of Oyibi Mamle near Accra are questioning why a public washroom constructed 8 years ago remains under lock and key. They complain they have no place of convenience and defecate openly. It's unclear why the facility has been locked, but some blame it on chieftaincy problems in the area. Joy News' Michaela Anderson has more.
So the building right behind me is supposed to be a toilet facility for the people of Oyibi. Residents here tell me it was constructed during Kufuor's administration, meaning the building has been here for more than 8 years. But the problem is that it has been locked.
Ama emashiye shimanche meke ni bi na wule ma mi kaji tumo opposition mene ba gbele na alo mene to na gbele na e ba la ke be mene play e krema ha ni keto ma he agbele na ni skamba le be ba ya le di o 10 years ne almost much like at 11 years kula ne.
We'll bring you the full report of this bulletin in our subsequent report. And to other issues, gender activists who converge in Accra to discuss ways to end child marriages in Ghana say journalists can lead the fight against child marriages. According to UNICEF estimations, women aged 20 to 24, which is approximately 70 million girls, get married before the age of 18. Ghana's Children's Act of 1998 prohibits marriage of any person below 18 years, but UNICEF reports indicates 34,000 girls who are less than 15 years are married every year in Ghana. In a bid to increase sensitization against the practice, faculty member of the University of Ghana School of Communications, Audrey Gajekbo, wants journalists to highlight the negative impact of such practices. She was speaking at a roundtable discussion among editors in Accra.
We started passing stories around. One person was from Nigeria, one person was from Sierra Leone, one person was from Dakar. We realized the similarities and the magnitude, or at least for me, of this problem and the dimensions in which it takes. And I said to myself, we as journalists need to connect the dots a little bit more. They themselves, as Dr. Edu pointed out, if you're able to show what the social negative dimensions are, and connected to things that are happening within the community, are willing to work with you. So we can't just tell the stories and leave it like that. We need to connect them with the larger social implications. And I hope that in our discussions, we let the ministry and ourselves know what the challenges are, what our strengths are when it comes to human, technical, and financial, and what the challenges are.
Person and rapporteur of the UN Committee on Child Rights, Dr. Agnes Akosia-Adi, said the condemning approach of Reportage should also be avoided.
It's not a sort of a condemnatory process. It's an educational process to see if the girl herself, her family, the 70-year-old man can be persuaded, perhaps not necessarily by the journalist, but by peers in the society, maybe other men who have done differently and better. And the girls who have seen other girls have the confidence to say no, even to their parents, about this, and so on. So that when we encounter the situation, I think we need to ask ourselves, what do we want to achieve by this report? What do we want to achieve by this bit of news? Is it the sensation? Is it the condemnation? Or are we expressing, describing a situation which will enable everybody to sit back and think? And when people have their pride in their culture, we want them to get to another platform where they will have some pride, but it will be positive activities that they are doing instead of negative ones with it.
Now time to get closer to God, because the traditional religious organization Africania Mission is appealing to government to restore libation prayers as state functions. The organization alleged that the ruling government has sidelined libation prayers as state functions and described government's action as unfair and rather unfortunate discrimination to the traditional religion.
The Africania Mission further explained that government must not allow religion to put the country asunder and urged government to recognize all religions equally. Africania Mission also pleaded with government to act according to the Constitution of Ghana, which allows freedom to practice any religion. They also want government to promulgate laws that prevent children from the traditional religion to be forced to participate in Christian worship in schools. Speaking at the National Convention of the Africania Mission in Ho, the head, Osofo Komfo Achukove, noted that the African traditional religion has been demonized by colonial masters, making it look inferior, hence its exclusion in key state events.
We have also been witnesses to a situation where libation prayers are banned and prohibited at state functions by the government. Africania Mission wishes to express disappointment at this rather unfair and unfortunate discrimination against our national religion. It is the biggest insult to the dignity of Africa, and for that matter, Ghanaians, to fall on leaders of foreign religions at state functions for prayers while prohibiting our holy libation.
Professor Kojo Gavua entreated Ghanaians to uphold the religion of their forefathers, adding that this would contribute to development in the country. Countries that communicate in their native language are the most developed countries, the likes of England, Japan, China, India, among others. Perhaps the neglect of our native languages and religion has contributed to the slow pace of development in our country. We must uphold the religion and culture of our forefathers. In 1982, Reverend Dr. Vincent Kwabena Damwa, in a quest to rehabilitate the demonized image of the traditional religion, abandoned his role as a Catholic priest and founded the Africania Mission. Fred Kwame Asari's report for Joy News.
Back to our earlier report of where residents of Oyibi Mamle near Accra are questioning why a public washroom constructed 8 years ago remains under lock and key.
So the building right behind me is supposed to be a toilet facility for the people of Oyibi. Residents here tell me it was constructed during Kufuor's administration, meaning the building has been here for more than 8 years. But the problem is that it has been locked.
ni agbele ko na ba ya mi ewo amenyo am so mo shin ye hefia he keke na me ya ni am ye jeme
Oyibi is a fast developing residential area with quite a number of other estates springing up around it. Due to this phenomenon, squatters and caretakers are common sights. Residents in this area are not happy that a public toilet built during the Kufuor administration over 8 years ago remains under lock and key.
The toilet was built years ago, but has remained under lock and key due to political and chieftaincy disagreements. It's been like this for about 11 years.
The yellow and brown painted L-shaped toilet building is overgrown with weeds, some hitting the rooftop. According to the residents, the facility, which has never been in use since its construction, has now become the hub of snakes and alligators. Residents feel sorry that though they have a toilet facility in the area, they have to defecate around. They say the stench around the toilet is overpowering, especially when it rains.
We don't know why it's locked. We practice wrap and throw because we have no other option.
They want the toilet opened as soon as possible to prevent outbreak of diseases.
We are pleading to authorities to have it open. We want it to be opened for us so that we can use it.
Michaela Anderson for Joy News.
Wow, very interesting story. We'll take a short break. When we come back is the business segment. Segment, Abigail Adumako Entry is here with the very latest from the business world. Hi, Abby.
Hello, Aisha.
What do you have for business?
Well, a lot. I'll keep viewers in suspense.
I also hear about some economic indiscipline considering the IMF bailout and all of that.
Well, you know, think tanks have been talking, and we'll get the details now in business. And the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems Limited (GIPS) is calling on all merchants to adopt the use of the GH-Link hybrid purse, which accepts e-switch cards and all local cards to avoid unnecessary costs when using an ATM card. This advice comes on the back of complaints by customers that commercial banks in the country are charging their customers more than necessary when point-of-sale device and ATM machines are used. Chief Executive Officer of GIPS, Mr. Achihese, has described the huge charges as unfortunate.
This issue came to our attention about a couple of weeks ago. And we worked with we tried to identify the point-of-sale devices in question. Our initial finding is that the point-of-sale device belongs to a bank. Now, when you insert your card, there's a communication line that runs from the point-of-sale device to the bank of the issuer card, where your card is from. Some of the point-of-sale device, when they are routing it, it is routed outside the country. That's the way they have set it up. So because it's been set up like that, the issuer bank would see it as a foreign transaction. So here I am, I have a bank card from Bank A. I use it on a point-of-sale owned by Bank B. Bank B have customized their point of sale such that transactions are routed outside the country. So my bank will see it as a foreign transaction. But in reality, the transaction is happening in Ghana. So under the circumstance, my bank might charge me 0% or 0.5% for foreign transactions. And this is what we have found out to be the case. So we are dealing and talking to the banks in question such that they would re-customize their systems to reflect that these transactions are indeed.
Now, about 10% of national service personnel are yet to receive their allowances from the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems (GIPS). The situation, according to Chief Executive Officer of GIPS, Achihese, is as a result of anomalies in data provided by service personnel.
A
According to the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems, GIPS, it has paid over 70,000 national service personnel between January and February this year. The figure they hinted represents about 90% of the national service personnel currently serving nationwide. Some irregularities, such as multiple use of national service numbers, duplicated e-switch numbers for the same person, among others, is making it difficult to pay about 10% of service personnel. Chief Executive of GIPS, Ashi Hesi, says it wants to gradually clear ghost names off the national service payroll.
Unfortunately, because most of the capturing of the names, the USNs, the national service numbers, etc., is done manually, there are bound to be errors. And this is what we have found as some of the issues that we are working very hard to address now. But from my understanding, a data list of roughly 34 or 43,000 in January, 38,000 of them, the list was clean and they've all been paid immediately. However, the 5,000 or so did come up with some issues.
Head of the National Service Scheme, Dr. Michael Besa-White, says his team is determined to ensure that national service personnel are working for the money they are being paid for.
The supervisor, the user agent, and then the district director are genuine and are indications that the personnel are put. But beyond that, our district directors often do random unexpected checks, and it could be in your district, it could be in your particular user agents at any time, and if they found out that you are not at post, you will be dealt with. But we are also, thanks to GIPS, trying very hard to bring in another measure as well, where we will be detecting where people are loading their money. If you are posted to Tamale and you are loading your money in Tema every month, we have a reason to be concerned why your money is being loaded in Tema instead of Tamale.
He also adds that there are about 26.5 million cedis saved since the inception of the new payment system has helped the scheme a great deal, advising service personnel who are yet to receive their allowance to contact their district directors.
In other news, the Institute of Fiscal Studies has hinted government will slip at its first review of the IMF program. The executive director of the institute, Professor Newman Kojokusi, explaining this, said that government lacks the direction to make the system work. Addressing the media in Accra, he said going to IMF is certainly not a guarantee for fiscal discipline.
The aim of the program is to restore debt sustainability and macroeconomic stability to foster a return to high growth and job creation while protecting social standing. And then the same IMF went on to say that in order to do this, the government must stick to strict containment of expenditure, in particular of the wage bill and subsidies. But the same IMF said that previously the government was not unable to embark on strong fiscal consolidation because of policy slippages, exogenous shocks, rising interest rates, and in this current case, including acute electricity shortage.
And that'll be all for business. My name is Abigail Adomakwentri. Sports is up next.
Finally, when was the last time you heard of Atai, the once notorious armed robber? Well, he is serving his term at the Ankerful prisons, the man who became popular because the police said he was the most dreaded criminal around, is serving 120 years for various crimes he was convicted for. However, in an exclusive interview with Super Morning Show host Kojo Yankson, Atai says he did not commit most of the crimes he is serving in term for.
So you started with car boots.
Yeah.
Then what next?
Okay, doing the car boot. Sometimes when you go to, okay, I can say town or something like that. When you got gun or something, we normally go and throw it by radio stations. We just throw it because we are afraid of the gun. But later, we got one of our guys came and said we should use the gun. So then we started using the gun, and we take it to robbing, and then we have turned it to robbing.
Were you good? You good with handling the gun?
Okay, not that. By then I was a driver.
Okay.
I was a driver.
So how did you go from driver to champion, captain?
Okay, sometimes I may say that what sometimes Ghanaians are saying is not true, because I'm not a champion. And there are many crimes that they have given to me that I don't know anything about it. Yeah. But all the same, I've offended. So I just have to be quiet and then pray for God that God will deliver me from this place. Yeah.
So tell me about the first time you shot someone.
No, I haven't done that before.
You've never shot anyone?
At all.
So all these operations, your crew, you follow somebody from the bank, and then you stop them somewhere, you take their money. You were carrying a gun during this operation?
Okay, by the first time we were not carrying a gun, but later we started using the gun,
But you never shot?
At all, never. At all.
Quite interesting but alarming. We'll bring you a full report on this interview later on our channel. That's where we draw the curtains. But before we go, a quick run through at stories making headlines. And the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition questions why reports of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament are kept from the public. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee says the documents are accessible enough for those interested. And Director of Operations of the Ghana Police Service blames police officers for failing to take marked shots of criminal suspects. Deputy Health Minister assures members of the Ghana Medical Association their concerns will be addressed so they won't resign en masse. And about 10% of National Service personnel are yet to receive their allowances from GIPS as a result of anomalies. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for your time. On behalf of the rest of the production team, have a great evening.
This is